Good. So good evening and welcome to this meeting of West Lincoln Council. Today is Monday, October 28th, and this is meeting number 17. So right away, I'm going to begin this evening by asking members of council if there are any disclosure of pecuniary interest and or conflict of interest regarding the confidential items. Okay. All right, and seeing none, we're going to move into confidential. The next portion of the meeting will be closed to the public to consider following pursuant to Section 239, subsection 2 of the Municipal Act 2001. 2.1, Chief Administrative Officer Trooper McBride, Reorganizational Resourcing and CFO Recruitment Update. The applicable closed session exemptions are personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and a plan or instruction to be applied to negotiations. And 2.2, again, Chief Administrative Officer Trooper McBride, Reorganizational Structure Review, and the applicable closed session exemption, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. So I need someone to move and take us into confidential, please. Councillor Riley. And someone to second that. Councillor Bradrick, thank you. Okay, and just show of hands, or do we think it's going to go? Okay, just show of hands then for moving into confidential. Okay, and that carries. Oh, it did come up. It was slow. Shall we vote again that way?
In there.
Not on my side.
Sorry.
Did you just do that again? I can do you manually here.
Good.
Okay, so we did have a unanimous vote to move in, so. Shall I just let that go?
Yep.
Okay. Good, okay, thank you. Okay, and so we're ready to begin. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in open session, and I'm going to go to the clerk for a directive after closed session. Okay. We had two closed sessions. One was the Chief Administrative Officer Organizational Resourcing and CFO Recruitment Update, and the second item being the Chief Administrative Officer, again, Mr. McBride, Reorganizational Structure Review. Okay.
So through the mayor to the rest of council, I have a closed session directive that I'll read, and I will need a mover and seconder before we put it on the floor. That administration be directed to proceed as directed in closed session in regards to confidential item 2.1 and confidential item 2.2.
Okay, and a mover, Councillor Bradrick, and a seconder, Councillor Chichok, please. All in favor, do you want to bring it up, or do you want to? Oh, let's see if it comes up.
It came up and then disappeared.
Oh, it's up again. Okay, so does everybody have it? So we vote that way? Okay, perfect. Please vote then electronically. Thank you.
Councilor Rayner, did yours come up for you, or is your
No,
computer asleep? Can you just do physical until you get it up?
We were using the hands earlier, so I figured you were gonna stay with the hands.
You can do hands, I can do it for you. Okay.
Okay, so if you, in the meantime, Councillor, can get set up for the rest,
Yeah,
it'll make it easier for the rest. Okay, and in the meantime, we good? That's fine? Okay, so that resolution passes, and I'm going to ask you to please stand if you're able for the singing of O Canada. So I will say that for the last 2 years of council, we've had either Smithville Christian High School or the Kieran Elementary School, and they have been providing O Canada, but we have 2 new schools in the works, and we should be able to rotate through that in the next little while, so some more are coming. So I'd like to just provide the following announcements before we begin the meeting, please. The public may submit comments for matters that are on the agenda to jpaylove@westlincoln.ca before 4:30 on the day of the meeting. Comments submitted will be considered as public information and read into the public record. And number 2, this meeting is being live streamed as well as recorded and will be available on the township website. We'll begin with the land acknowledgement. The township of West Lincoln, being part of Niagara Region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hedoenderunk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The township of West Lincoln, as part of the regional municipality of Niagara, stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. And Councillor Trombetta, you have the opening petition tonight.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. We gather to make decisions for our community. May we use our only best skills and judgment in keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what's best in our community and fellow citizens.
Thank you. Okay, are there any changes in order on items on the agenda this evening, councillors? Okay, seeing none, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and/or conflict of interest? And again, seeing none. So the item number 8 on our agenda is request to address items on the agenda. And please note that requests to address items on the agenda are restricted to specific items as follows per section 6.7 of the procedural bylaw. And 6.7 does say that there shall be no comments from the public permitted at council unless A, a specific appointment has been scheduled, or B, an item is included under the other business or communications or appointment section of the agenda and relates to a matter that would normally be dealt with at committee. Are there any members of the public present who wish to address a specific item on the agenda as permitted by section 6.7 of the procedural bylaw? Okay. Don't see anyone. So anything online, Kevin?
Not seeing anything, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So we have no appointments or presentations this evening. So Councillor Witteveen, after your long wait, it's time for regional council remarks, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm having fun dealing with my lovely cold here with my ears plugged, so if I seem kind of loud, I seem kind of quiet to myself. So anyways, bear with me while I present the report this evening. So good evening, Mayor, councillors, staff, and members of the public. It's been a couple busy months at the region through different, working through the different departmental budgets and projections of needed funds to meet the outcomes of our strategic plan for 2025. Budgetary pressures are very challenging in this current environment, and I'm sure that that you will be experiencing the same. So we need, obviously, to maintain an existing services and be responsible in managing our infrastructure needs for today and tomorrow's growth. I can reassure you that the mayor and myself will take into consideration the challenging economic times we all are presently experiencing when it comes to making this final decision that will affect us all. So on another note, noting that councillors have interest in the Canada-wide early learning childcare program on growth that we could see up to 4,000 new childcare spaces up to 2026. The staff have identified priority neighborhoods based on demographics and service utilization. Obviously, 15 neighborhoods have been identified in direct growth areas, and the updated priority neighborhoods will be shared with the early years and child care sector this fall. So the disappointing part was West Lincoln did not make this list of 15. Our closest communities were Beamsville and Font Hill, which may help some on the fringes. So I think we will have to work on trying to fill some of those gaps or add spaces to our existing. So on a more positive note, we were notified that of the Niagara College 4-year nursing degree was reinstated. RNs and registered psychiatric nurses had the largest job vacancies. This program will take on 60 students each semester, and so that will help take some of the pressure off that those job vacancies and fill those spots. So some exciting news on the long-term care front, which we have now, the Niagara region has achieved the 4 hours of care per day per resident set out by the provincial government a number of years ago. And as you know, the challenge was sourcing out enough staff to be able to provide level of care to our residents. So a quick update, our Gilmore Lodge construction is on budget and time to receive 160 residents in early December, and with Lynnhaven Homes with the same amount of beds to be finished near the same time this year for the transition to take place. So this is pretty exciting to have these two large new facilities for our seniors here in Niagara, and the province. The mayor and I were announcement the province continues to expand the capacity for seniors So we should also look to create spaces in our community so that our seniors can stay in their respective communities. Quick update on the waste management profile. Operational costs are being reviewed for the landfills. Make sure this operation remains a cost recovery. So for 2025, there's a proposed small increase for self-hauled waste. The proposal is to increase $8.50 kilo. It's $8 for 50 kilos now to $9 for 60 kilos. And this will keep up with operational pressures for the upcoming year. Interesting too, the Niagara Region undertaking a biosolids master plan update, which will assist in capital projects and program delivery. As you know, with our strong agriculture base, many of our farmers take advantage of this land application method to fulfill nutrient requirements for optimal crop growth. The region's looking at more efficient ways of moving product from storage to farmers' field. The plan is to address more dewatering of the product so that when land applies, it's more stable in the environment. And kind of a good thing is that it'll hopefully take some pressure off our infrastructure by not so many trips, because some of the current stuff is about 10%. I guess we'll call it solid, and 90% water. So there's lots of trucks with water going down our many roads. So the goal is, by dewatering it, it's just to get it at the right rate, the right time, the right place, and so part of nutrient management, so that we're not letting it sweep into the natural environment. So it seems that the Niagara Region wants to maintain this relationship with agriculture community today and moving forward into the future. So I think it's a good partnership that we have. So and in closing, I've attended a number of events in our community over the last couple of months to support our community, Pumpkin Drive, and many other events. I'm sure the mayor will have some in her report. And then, of course, I look forward to our Remembrance Day service coming up, and hopefully, and obviously, the success of our Santa Claus parade in the near future. So, awesome. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whittabine. Any questions? Councilor Riley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Councilor Whittabine. Thank you for your presentation and for getting us up to speed. I got a couple questions for you, just things I'm hearing and seeing in the community. So I'm just kind of curious. And so I brought it up, I think it was maybe even last meeting or the meeting before, regarding concerns around kind of like specifically on some of your regional roads with speeding and people overtaking buses as they're stopped. And so I'm just wondering if the region is or has any plans to help kind of bring more awareness to drivers in the area through signage, education, anything, even more policing. We're finding that, residents are feeling more at danger just crossing the road. And specifically, it seems to be our pedestrian crosswalks seem to be the added problem right now. I think people just haven't made the adjustment, or they're just being too impatient. So just kind of curious to you, Madam Mayor, or even yourself can speak to it, I guess, as a regional councilor yourself, if that discussion has taken place, or can you at the very least bring that to regional council for consideration there?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Riley. So at the present time, I think yourself and myself have directed residents to, instead of us always going to the Niagara Regional Police, that residents bring these, concerns of areas to the attention of the NRP, so that they can address it from headquarters and allocate resources accordingly. It's been a forever challenge, not to say that with a very large municipality and our crimes are low, so where crimes are high, that's where they put resources. But that doesn't mean we should have a lower level of service. So it's I'm sure we'll see the police chief in the next few weeks as we work through budget, and the mayor and I will could talk to him, or we'll reach out to the staff sergeant and
Appreciate that.
do that. And I think sometimes the public is not totally understand how some of this works, as we were trying to do on social media. Amber doesn't mean stop. It's a caution on both
Yes.
pedestrian and driver. So I saw something interesting, some foam bricks that you could pick one up, walk across the road with a foam brick in your hand, and that may give a little visual to the driver and they drop it on the other side of the crosswalk when you're done. So.
Appreciate the creativity there. I think part of some of the concerns, if you look at the two areas that have the newer pedestrian crosswalks, Madam Mayor, sorry, to the councillor, is one has like a bit of an elbow bend. And so again, just whether it's bigger signage, whatever it is that your public works can possibly consider a review, just to bring them more aware to be prepared to slow down. Much like when you're going down, what do you call it, Regional Road 12 through Grimsby, and they give you a warning, prepare to stop. You know what I mean? Because you got the lights that, and it has the flashing light, and that's a different situation, but it gives you an indication whether or not there's going to be a red light. So I think we just got to, unfortunately, policing is always going to be a problem in our community, so I'm hoping that the region can be a little bit more creative in how we can kind of tackle some of these in the meantime. And I guess lastly, through you, Madam Mayor, to either yourself or the regional councillor, are you aware of, I know the next round of speed cameras in our community is supposed to go up sometime in the new year. Are you aware of if they're going to be, I know one I think is supposed to be back on Station Street, but is there going to be other areas in our community considered for next year, or is it going to stay in the two areas that they've already have erected the sign, the poles and the housing unit for the cameras?
I would just jump in and say that there are other regions that are being brought online as community safety zones. Ours did not make the cut. I think I reported that, and I think probably Councillor Whitty did as well. They looked at the original 12, and they're rotating through that. They brought on either 5 or 6 more. The criteria that they used was weighted, and you needed to have something above 25 or something, and I think we were sitting at 24. So hopefully South Grimsby Road 6, which isn't called that anymore, I don't think, but Caister Centre Road anyway, is the next one that they may start to look at, because there have been a lot of complaints about the speeding in that area as well. So you know that our staff did actually put in the change of speed to try to, at least in advance of that, because we didn't get that designation, at least warn drivers that they're coming to a school
Yes, I
zone.
remember that.
But at this point in time, it doesn't look like there's anything slated. I think that next group that was looked at in 24 will be what gets added in 25.
Okay.
So
Perfect, appreciate it.
unless something else happens.
So through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Riley, I'm meeting with Commissioner of Transportation with myself and the Vice Chair of Public Works in a couple weeks. So if there's anything of concern, I will either reach out to you or follow up in my next report.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Rayner?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to the regional. Albert, with regards to the comments you made earlier, you said the region is at their goal of 4 hours. You were mentioning 4 hours of in-care. Can you please expand on that? What did you mean by that? You mean if there is an individual that needs attention, like I know of family who there's 2 of them, and he only gets twice a week 3 hours. A nurse comes in, and you mentioned now that it's 4 hours every day, and they've reached the goal. Are you referring to the same thing, where there are 2 people at home and one has to look after the other? The poor person can hardly get out to get enough time to get groceries or anything, not alone try to get, to do something different. But they're restricted to only 2 visits for 3 hours a week. Can you explain this 4 hours a day you were talking about, or is that a different thing?
So through Madam Mayor to Councillor Rayner, this is in the long-term care facility home.
Oh, in the
that
home.
The province there was a request to add more hours of care to those that resided in the long-term care facility. As home care goes, I'm not sure, and I can find out for you what, and that may be on a needs basis and resource availability, because I'm sure each client will have different needs, and I think that was part of the LIN, and I'm not sure if, what group now looks after the I guess, the administration of staff to those that need that home care. That's my best answer.
Okay, so they are different, but it'd be nice to see if there was any movement in that direction to reevaluate that situation for some that really are very restricted on what they can do. 2 visits a week for 3 hours is not a lot of time.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question, if I can, Madam Mayor. With regards to the waste management facility, about 2 or 3 months ago, they changed the recycling section, which I thought was quite striking. There used to be a large bin there where you could put your newspapers in, and it was protected from the weather. It was a sliding door on the side, and you put anything in it that was books or newspapers, magazines, whatever you wanted. They changed that about 3 months ago, and you now dump it in the great big open bin with the cardboard. And I thought, that's kind of weird, because it is West Lincoln area, and I don't like to see the news. You know what it's like out there with storms and everything. So a guy throws a handful of newspapers, and the bin happens to be almost full. Next thing you know, it's all over the fields and everywhere else. So I thought that was kind of weird that they would do that, especially when they had a system that really protected the newspaper and made sure it went through the recycling facility nice and dry, which, as you know, soggy, wet newspapers, I'm not quite sure how they're going to sort that out. But anyways, the other one is styrofoam. They used to have 3 or 4 canvas containers where you put the styrofoam in, and then they would tie the bag, and that's how they protected them from blowing around. Now you dump it in with the plastics. So here again, styrofoam is light as a feather. You may have the bin 3/4 full. You put a whole whack of styrofoam. The next thing you know, it's 10,000 miles down the road at 50 miles an hour with the wind. And it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense in the sense, how are you containing it? Because obviously the lightest stuff is the ones you're putting in the open. Where do you think it's going to go? And it's going to increase the detriment of the facility, because it's going to look terrible, because this junk is going to be flying everywhere, because now we just throw it in an open container and let the wind take it. Is there anything you can do to look into that? Like, they had a good system. Both systems for the styrofoam and the newspapers I thought were excellent, and now they just kind of abandoned them. And now it's just a mess.
So, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Rayner, I believe that there is a representative around this horseshoe, then it's to deal with the operation of Road 12, and I could find out, but whoever.
It would be better if it went through my regional council, is what I'm trying to say, because even the people that are working there are complaining, saying, you know, this really isn't the best system. I said, why did they change it? They said, I don't know. All of a sudden they stopped doing it. 1 month or whatever, they stopped with the newspaper protection, and the next month they stopped with the styrofoam. But it was obviously mandated by the region, because it's region controlled. So it would be nice if, from your level, is what I'm looking for, if you could inquire on our behalf, it would be appreciated.
To Madam Mayor, to Councillor Rayner, I also sit on the Waste Management Steering Committee, so I will, if you can work at your end, I will work at my end, and hopefully we can meet in the middle and find out why the change was made, because I wasn't really aware of it till you brought it to my attention this evening, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions for Councillor Levine? Okay, thank you very much.
Hope you get better soon.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda is confirmation of the council minutes from September 23rd, 2024. Councillor Chichok, you have that resolution, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes relating to the September 23rd, 2024 council meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
And we need a seconder, please. Councillor Trombetta, thank you. Are there any questions or comments about those minutes? Okay, Mr. Clerk? Did it come up for everyone? Good.
No, I can't do
Well,
it. But it won't go again.
Okay, thank you.
Well, your microphone's on.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, 11.2 is a public meeting under the Planning Act, October 15th, 2024. Moved by Councillor Riley. And would you go ahead, sir?
I do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes of the October 15, 2024 public meeting held under Section 34 of the Planning Act with respect to 1, Part 1, Range 2, part of Lot 2 in the former township of South Grimsby, Ross Robbins zoning bylaw amendment. 2, concession for Part Lot 12, RP 30R4714, Part 1, and in the former township of Gainsborough, William and Kathy Fatucci, zoning bylaw amendment. And 3, 1601-002-24, backyard chickens bylaw, zoning bylaw amendment, and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Thank you. Will someone to second that resolution, please? Councillor Turnbull again, thank you. Any questions or comments about those public meetings? We were all there. Okay, so the vote should be in front of you. Okay, and that resolution carries. And 13 are the mayor's remarks, and I did change them up this time, and you've got some things in front of you, and I'm going to give you a couple more. So it's actually been 5 weeks, which is a longer period of time since our last council meeting, and as usual, it's been quite a busy time period. I've changed the format of my mayor's report accordingly. So I've grouped together, representing West Lincoln, I've attended both our own local and the regional flag raisings for National Truth and Reconciliation Every Child Matters Day. I attended the What's Growing On event at Vineland Research and Innovation Center, where Agriculture Minister Rob Flack was also in attendance, and this included the Tree Culture Viewing Park and the Grape Trialing Vineyard and commercialization services. I attended the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce Next Niagara Engage event and workshop series. The Niagara Economic Development event at Canada Games Park regarding Project Arrow, the all-Canadian-made electric vehicle prototype that's been touring the world to demonstrate Canadian ingenuity, creativity, and skill set. I attended Robinex Inc.'s 50th anniversary celebration. I attended the opening ceremony and throwing of the first rock of the season at the Grimsby Curly Club. Fortunately, my rock reached the circle at the other end. I think it's called the house, I don't know. Surprisingly, since I'd never thrown one before. And I attended the October meeting of the Hamilton Health Sciences Community Board for West Lincoln Memorial Hospital, where the updates on our new hospital are all very positive. So the highlights of that, essentially, substantial completion of the hospital is expected by May of 2025, followed by a transition period for equipment and staff while they're moved over, with the opening likely being late summer of 25. So that's all good news. Now, it was also explained that there'll be a post-opening time where the photos taken won't look so great because the old hospital then has to come down and the parking lot needs to be constructed in front where the hospital is now sitting, and then the landscaping will be done. So probably there will be another grand opening a year from that time. Locally, we've had 2 great fire department open houses, one at each stations 1 and 2, where it was great to see members of council and so many residents in attendance. So thanks to our firefighters for hosting each of these community events for West Lincoln families. And I thought that the fire prevention activities at each station were particularly great. Staff, led by our CAO, hosted our first official Developers Roundtable on Friday, October 11th, to which Councillor Riley as Planning Chair, Councillor Chichok as Planning Vice Chair, and I as Mayor were invited. For Council information, these meetings are to continue on a regular basis moving forward. Harvest Roots was a very successful event early this month, with various creative workshops being enjoyed by residents of all ages. And again, I'd like to thank all staff involved in putting that event together for our residents. John Calvin School also held their annual Fall Fest fundraising event, which, as always, was open to the public. They are always pleased to see any elected officials attend their event. And I say that because I'm going to give you some dates of the upcoming things as well. Our Community Recognition Awards celebration brought out over 150 residents to celebrate and congratulate the 11 winners of the 2024 awards. I would like to thank committee members, Councillors Chichok and Riley, Executive Assistant Jackie Thrower, and our Communications Specialist Beth Audette for all that they did to help me with this event. Thanks very much also to my husband, John, our Interim Director of Legislative Services, Justin Palov, and our Human Resources Manager, Janine Buffo, for stepping in on their own time to help set up and decorate for this event when we suddenly needed to upsize our event space due to the high interest from members of the public. I'd also like to thank the community center staff for their work setting up and then resetting up chairs and tables for the event. It certainly required great teamwork to pull that event in time for the 7 o'clock start. So for those of you who don't know, we thought the program room at the library would be enough till we saw what it looked like to have 100 chairs plus set up in there and realized there was no room for anyone with a walker or a wheelchair and no room for the food and very little room for anybody to even get in and out of their chairs. And so we suddenly were upstairs in the 3 areas combined, and that worked very well. On Friday evening of last week, the West Lincoln Chamber of Commerce held their annual business awards. I would like to thank Councillor Chichok for her work as Chamber of Commerce liaison and C.L. McBride for his excellent job as part of the panel that evening. It was my great pleasure to once again present the Community Impact Not-for-Profit Award. Congratulations to the Chamber of Commerce for providing a wonderful opportunity to honor so many deserving businesses in our community. And Councillor Witteveen, it was nice to see you and Liz in attendance and taking part as well. Thanks for being there. So my next page, I'm going to just give you a copy because it was pointed out that sometimes I will say I've been to a lot of different things, and some members of council are not on social media, and some members of council aren't checking email, and some members of council have very busy lives doing every other thing. But there are some dates coming up with the Christmas season coming upon us that I just thought I'd sort of put in one piece and then, again, give you all of that. So moving to the month ahead, I want to point out to members of council several upcoming events to which you have all been invited and others that you simply might wish to put into your calendars as reminders. So Roma registration, the early bird deadline, is actually October 31st. So if you're interested in Roma and you want to save us some money, then the 31st is the deadline. Doesn't mean you can't join in later, it just will cost a little bit more. Saturday, November 9th, the Cairn Family Fun Fest at the Smithville Christian High School. It's all day and open to the public. Sunday, November the 10th, lest we forget, is a service of remembrance in conjunction with the Smithville Legion Branch 393. So you've all received that invitation in your councilor information package, but Jackie's also put a reminder at your desk. That's the one with the poppy. Monday, November 11th, of course, is Remembrance Day, service at the Legion. It starts at 10:30. The West Lincoln Santa Claus Parade is November the 30th, but council members are, as always, invited to participate. And you have that reminder on your desk because you need to RSVP to staff, that's the one, Bill, by November the 15th. So think about whether you want to walk in the parade. And I added one with my handwriting that came in actually this afternoon that I just noticed. Saturday, November 16th, Smithville Public School has a stop and shop between 10 and 3. And that I've written it in ink on these, so I'll give you one. And then I added a couple of others that are after our next council meeting, but they happen bing, 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 and just in case you want to put those in your agenda or on your calendar. There's a flag raising for Jillian's Place, which is Tuesday, November the 26th at 1 o'clock. Wednesday, November the 20th, is a community tree lighting, West Lincoln Shines, hosted by our local Kiwanis Club. And this is a collaborative effort with the Knights of Columbus, Smithville Christian High School, Foodland, Standpack, Summer Heinen from Royal LePage Real Estate, and the Township of West Lincoln. So it's a combined event. Some of you have been before. Friday, November 29th, is a Silverdale Turkey Dinner for West Lincoln Community Care, hosted by the Silverdale Hall Board. And Saturday, November 30th, of course, not only is it parade day, but the morning is the winter and Christmas market. And then the afternoon is the parade. And I don't know, do we have a start time? Is it 5? I think probably. I think they're still doing a late start. And that does conclude my remarks, but if you want those dates, I knew you wouldn't capture them, so...
I was just going to ask if you have a printout, I'll happily
I
take
do.
one. And if, for the 5 o'clock, I believe,
Sorry, Trooper.
what I read online for the parade, I think it starts at 5, so people might want to get there a little bit before.
Justin, would you pass it that way? Thank you. Okay, so that does conclude my remarks, and hopefully some of you are able to join the community for some of the upcoming events. As we lead up to something coming very quickly, as it seems, when you start looking at calendars. Okay, so that will take us to reports of committee, and Councillor Ryder, you actually have the Planning, Building, and Environmental Committee report from October 15th, please.
I do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes relating to the October 15th, 2024 Planning, Building, Environmental Committee meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Okay, someone to second that, please. Councillor Chichok. Any questions or comments regarding those? Okay, so Mr. Clerk is ready. And that carries, thank you. And the Administration, Finance, and Fire Committee minutes, Councillor Trombetta, you have those from October 21st?
Yes, I do. Moved by myself that the minutes relating to October 21st, 2024 Administration, Fire, and Finance Committee meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Thank you. And someone to second those, please. Councillor Riley, thank you. Any questions or comments about those minutes? All right, seeing none, Mr. Clerk. Okay, and that also carries. And 14.3 are Public Works and Recreation Committee minutes. Councillor Rayner, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move by myself that the minutes relating to the October 21st, 2024 Public Works and Recreation Committee meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Thank you. And someone to second those, please. Councillor Trombetta, thank you. Any questions or comments about those minutes? Okay, and the vote is in front of you. And that also carries. Thank you. So there are no reconsiderations for this evening, and there are no notices of motion to rescind. So that takes us to 17, other business. Are there any members of council that wish to make remarks tonight? Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to be brief. I just wanted, you've already touched base with the Citizen Recognition Awards. I just wanted to add some further comments to being the second year West Lincoln hosting this, since we brought it back. It was quite moving to kind of see the impact it was having on the families who were able to participate, and more specifically even on the Lifetime Achievement Awards. I think sometimes, it's easy to kind of not be aware of the sacrifices or the commitments or dedication members of our community have put forward, and yet the accolades that we're able to provide, even minimally through a recognition there, goes a long way. There's some individuals who are truly moved, especially some of the ones who their loved ones are no longer with us. You can certainly see the impact that they certainly met, and anybody who volunteers, there's always a little bit of a sacrifice, time away from family or time away from whoever, and so it's nice to kind of get that recognition. And so I thought it was certainly worth noting that it was quite moving. The other thing I was going to mention just briefly, and just a question I have for the clerk is next month. We have the election, by-election just a few days away here, and so I was just kind of curious, and I don't recall seeing it, but when would that individual be sworn in to take part of council? So assuming everything goes off as planned on the 4th, when would be earliest they'd be able to join us?
Through Madam Mayor to Councillor Riley and the rest of council, I do hope everything goes to plan as well. I think the swearing would going in at the very end of November, that council meeting.
December would be...
Well, it'd be the end of November. I'm thinking would be, because
The last
the
council
by-election will occur in
Because they
November.
have to be confirmed.
Yes.
Would they take part in the November meeting? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Just
So-
wanted to
Okay.
confirm that.
Can I go on?
Yep.
Okay. So what will happen, if you recall, when we were first elected, there was a training period as well.
Yes.
So the clerk and probably some of his staff will be involved in making sure that whoever's elected has been brought up to speed. If you remember, we all had to learn to use the Surface Pro as well, so that will be something that will be ongoing as well as part of that. And then at the council meeting in November, at the beginning of the meeting, that person will be sworn in
Okay.
and then invited to take their place.
So they could take place
So
right after
they will
this,
be
being sworn
part
in.
of that meeting, but not part of the meeting. We hope that they'll come and sit in the gallery for the other meetings coming in,
Just
but
be
they
aware
won't
of
be
the
invited
issues.
to join the horseshoe until they're sworn in.
Perfect. Nope,
Okay.
just wanted to clarify
Yeah,
that.
well, that's a
Thank
good
you.
time to ask that. That's fine. Anyone else? Councilor Rayner?
I just want to thank the people, the hard workers at the United Church in town. Last Wednesday, we had the roast beef dinner, and it was very good, and the meat was very tender, and it was very nice. And there was a lot of work by the people in there, and it was very efficient. We went in and out pretty quickly. And yes, it was very good, and it was nice that they put that together. And it sure, I think Lyle told me that there was over 300 tickets
Over
sold,
300 dinners they sold, yeah.
which was
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
I
But
think
anyways,
a
they
good
were
chunk of the
just-
town ate roast beef that night.
Yeah, they were moving people through pretty quickly. They're very well organized, but the food was excellent, so thank you very much.
Okay. Go ahead, your turn.
Through Madam Mayor to the rest of council and also to any residents watching, as Councilor Riley noted, we did do 2 advanced polls, one on Friday at the West Lincoln Community Center, and then also one on Saturday in the Legion Villa, Villa 2. The regular voting day will be happening on November 4th at the West Lincoln Community Center as well, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. all residents need to come with is a valid piece of ID, and they can go through and vote for the Ward 3 position that is open right now. We will be open from 10 to 8 p.m., full service the entire time. There is no stops or breaks. You can come at any time. So I just want to get that out there to the community as well, that we are holding that vote next Monday.
And Madam Mayor, if I may, through you to our clerk, and so that evening, I think there was a media release that was put out, but to clarify for those who maybe didn't see it, the gallery will be open for those, much similar to a general election, for the live results, and then I guess there's going to be some other stuff available on social media.
So through the mayor to the rest of council as well, and to the members of the public watching, yes, that is correct. We will be displaying it in the council chambers. People are free to come physically to watch the results be uploaded. That will be happening simultaneously to our social media and to our website. It does so happen that sometimes our website does crash, as so many people are refreshing the page constantly to see the updates. So we tend to direct people to the social media page for the actual ongoing updates. However, they will be available physically if you want to come to the township building, as well as social media and online as well. We try to get it as many avenues as we can so people can see.
Perfect.
Those will be the unofficial results. They will be officialized the next day, so November 5th, by myself. And that will be also noted to the public through a news release on the website and our social media.
Okay, and then lastly, through you, Madam Mayor, are you able to disclose how many people have voted up to date? Like, I know by-elections typically don't have the same draw as a general election. Like, is that information that's available even? Just out of curiosity, like, were we talking about 1 or 2? Are we talking about 1,000? Like, where are we sitting?
Through the mayor, a little more than 1 or 2. We are currently sitting at 332 votes in the advanced polls. We always see less people in the advanced polls, but this is an uptick compared to recent years, so we are anticipating potentially a lot more on the actual day, November 4th, but currently right now, 332 votes.
That's awesome. No, thank you.
Councilor Maynard?
Yes, I was going to ask that question exactly to Councilor Early. I wasn't sure if you could reveal the number. I was going to say, was it strong? Was it medium? Was it weak? Yeah, so that's still pretty impressive, I think, 332 for a by-election. It's going to be interesting to see what the final number is going to be. But thank you.
Anyone else?
Just want to touch on what Councilor Rayner said. I did attend with him the roast beef dinner. I saw Councilor Riley there, Councilor Whittabine, and I was going to say the rest of council also probably made their appearance there. Just want to thank all the volunteers that were there, because it's not just one person. It's probably about
it's a crowd of people,
running back and forth to the kitchen, and and just to move 300 people in and out of there so quickly. As soon as you get there, you get downstairs, you get your meal and go. And they did a fantastic job. They are thinking about making it more of a social gathering eventually in the future. I hope that we can stick around a little bit longer. But
so just further to that, years ago it would be a sit-down dinner, and then COVID got in the way, and they needed to find another way. And so that other way has worked efficiently for them. But yes, you're right. There's less socialization, and so
I think it only goes 180 what Lyle was saying. So they're looking at ways of hopefully in the future having a little bit more of a gathering. So that's all, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
thank you.
Got everybody? Okay, so there are no new items of business unless someone has something they wish to bring up. Okay, and so we have bylaws. Councillor Bradrick.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself that 1, that leave be granted to introduce bylaws 2024-67, 2024-68, 2024-69, 2024-70, 2024-71, 2024-72, 2024-73, 2024-74, and 2024-75. And the same shall be considered to have been read a first, second, and third time with one reading, and are hereby adopted. And 2, that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and affix a corporate seal thereto, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding.
Okay, thank you. Someone to second bylaws, please. Councillor Chichok, thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding any of the listed bylaws? Okay, seeing none, the vote will be in front of you. business, and so that takes us to 20, which is adjournment. And so at the hour of 8:32, I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.